I'm Cindy Turvy, and I live here in Columbus, Ohio. And I joined the United States Marine Corps. My junior year at The Ohio State University, I fell in love with a recruiter who was wearing red, white, and blue. Didn't fall in love with her per se. I fell in love with the red, white, and blue. And I said, I can do that. I can do that. I just wanted to be patriotic. Personally, I felt that the military would give me some direction, and I could learn something about myself, as well as how to work with other people, since I was a fresh graduate of The Ohio State University. At that time, I was not a lesbian. I was the other kind. So it just was a regular job that I was pursuing. But you had to go through training. They wanted to see how tough you were. And so if you made it through that, you could make it through anything. So I went on and saw 3 different duty stations, and it's just been great to say that I proudly joined the Marine Corps. I was also at Quantico, Virginia, so I got a chance to participate in woman officer class. Our training was women only, women officer trainees only. And then the men were off somewhere else, again, alone. However, in 72, I think it was, boy, am I dating myself. In 72, Ruth Bader Ginsburg felt that the military needed to have a little bit more equality, and she advocated for training for both men and women at the same time. Interesting, too, a married man could get a stipend for his spouse who's back home or something, $200 a month. But if a woman was married, she couldn't get that. But Ruth changed that. So the women who were married and had a husband somewhere else, they got that stipend. I got to meet some great people. I shook hands with some important people. It wasn't always, 8 hours a day. It could be 10 hours a day. But you're doing some good. You're doing some good. You're supposed to be doing this. Early on, it might have been leaning toward a career, but I elected to leave the Marine Corps at about 3.5 years. After I got out of the military, I was eligible to use the GI Bill. So I got my master's degree from the GI Bill. I was working at the prison in Chillicothe as a social worker. I went on and then got the chance to move up to the penitentiary as a social worker, director of social services, and things sort of happened. I was quiet about it because you didn't know what the other people thought, but everybody knew it anyway. If you're serious about having a career, after high school, go to college and get a degree, and along the way, go to ROTC and go that route. It's always good to be an officer. I still revere the time that I spent in the military, and it is a sacrifice. It is a sacrifice. Other people make greater sacrifices. The red, white, and blue just goes through my veins.
Hi there, I'm Rupert Dano Starr, better known as Twink, back home in Mount Sterling, Ohio. Little farm town where I was born and raised. They call me Twink. I call me Rupert from my family. I graduated in 1940, went to Ohio University, and as you know, the war started in 41, but I joined the ROTC, Reserve Officers Training Corps, because we knew we were going to be in war, and Ohio U trained every freshman. We had an obstacle course that was tougher than the military. And so I was in excellent physical condition, and I had 3.5 years before I became, I was in more or less reserve, and then in the end of the 3.5 years, they needed officers right away. So I became a corporal and in the active duty service, and then went to officer training school camp. Become a 90-day wonder, as they called it, which would be a second lieutenant infantry. And I must say, out of this 285 students, 85 were from the services, and every one of them flunked out. I was fortunate to have that training and have a business degree and with 1/2 a year left to be a business administrator. And that may have saved my life, because when I came finally to an infantry division and got in the line, and very shortly after that, into the Battle of the Bulge, they saw my abilities, my degree almost in business administration, and so I ended up being the regimental personnel officer, a captain's job as a brand new second lieutenant. But at the end of the evening, they bring all the officers in, tell them what's happened today, what's going to happen tomorrow, what our situation is, and the colonel says, we lost contact with the division, excuse me, and we need a volunteer. No one volunteered, I did. The Army, they tell you, never volunteer. Well, I thought it was my duty. It came out, we're Americans, don't shoot. And they shot at us one more time and then stopped. And I got in there and the lieutenant says, I had 5 riflemen shooting at you 2 Germans twice, and they missed. I said, I love those guys. But then they were captured that night. They says, we're surrounded, we got to get out of here. And it was so dark, so cold, so much snow. We formed a more or less kind of a human chain. I think there were like 8 of us. And we, in lockstep, with the shoulder on top, hugging each other to keep from falling down and the snow and getting out. And sure enough, that morning, they're surrounded. The 7th Armored was surrounded. And so we were then prisoners of war. Actually, I was in a prison camp for actually 4 months, and I was in 10 countries, and in all this activity, a prison camp in Germany, Poland, and Russia, I was home exactly 6 months to the day. And it just isn't how long you're in the service is what's happening while you're there. I came home to my mother, and of course, open arms and weeping, and I said, every day from now on is a free day, and I'm going to do something worthwhile to make that day accomplish something. I volunteered to become a national activist, an out gay veteran who had this they thought, distinguished service. And any time I was given an accolade of any kind, I always said, still do, I accept, thank you for this, I appreciate it, but I accept it on behalf of all those who did a lot more than I did, and also particularly for those that didn't come home. And I did.